Hey everybody, ronarray here, and today I want to showcase the build that I will use to start the league myself. It's going to be Lightning Smite Slayer, with theoretical progress to the champion much later on. In this video, I'm going to provide a detailed build guide, so it will be easy for you to follow as usual. Right now, Smite in a pretty good position for both clearing and bossing. It also feels great in acts, due to AoE coverage from Ancestral Call, which is available early on, and later in the game the build is going to be pretty tanky too. You also don't even need to swap skills and can play Smite from level 1 too. In 3.25, I did a Smite Warden build and it went pretty good for me. Cleared all Ubers and all other content too, so I think it will be a great option once again in 3.26. Why the Slayer? Mostly because it will be easier to league start with and scale early in the game. Slayer still has 20% current strike, which feels absolutely amazing, and can utilize leech and charges to be even tankier. On top of that, in the future you can always swap to the champion if you like it, and try some different set of fortify shenanigans, for example. Sounds like a perfect option right now. I will also do some updates for that build during the league, including Endgame version, so it will be very well supported. Let's go forward and I will showcase all you need to know about the build itself. Check out the timestamps as usual too, I have a lot of those. Talking about Smite itself a little, that's a pretty great skill. It's hitting enemies with like circle-like AoE, and also providing you an aura, which giving you chance to shock together with flat lightning damage. And flat lightning damage is very comfortable bonus, which going to improve your damage in general during acts and in the endgame as well. There's also a known bug and interaction, where enemy can be hit by both the melee damage from like additional strike target, such as Ancestral Call support for example, and the damage of the lightning bolt, which is associated with the player primary strike. That way you can practically hit enemies twice with the smite if you're using Ancestral Call or have like a mastery from the tree, making it a pretty comfortable experience. So to get the smite at level 1, you will need to create a level 1 Marauder character, kill the Hillock and join Lioness Watch. After that, you can practically take any reward from Tarkley, and at NASA, you will be able to just buy the Smite gem, so it's going to be up there as an option for you to buy. Right here we have a Smite. After that, just sell all the items that you don't really need, together with gems that you don't really need as well, and place your Smite and Scroll of Wisdom into your stash. After that, just create your character, which is going to be a duelist and later a slayer. You will need to take a first reward right here, but it doesn't matter what you will take, because instead you're just going to the stash and taking your gems out. And after you got both your Ruthless support and Smite from your second character, you will just need to buy a basic two-handed sword right here. If you can get something like that for 2 Scroll of Wisdoms, it will be just perfect to push you further. So just make sure you're using it. You will also need like a double red link, so check your items in case if you have one. So for example, here I have a body armor, which is just going to be perfect for it. We're going to use Smite together with Ruthless support, because that way it's going to provide like as good benefit for us as we can get at the start. If you can still have some Scroll of Wisdoms left, you can also prepare basic gear from NASA, getting like for example Iron Ring or something like that for your damage. Your early game passives are pretty much just going to be physical attack damage and life, together with more physical attack damage, and after that we'll need to go here to Master of the Arena and take mana flows up to the Brutus. And next support that you are taking from NASA should be Ancestral Call support. You're going to use Ancestral Call support mostly for clearing enemies, and it's going to be very comfortable for you. So in that case, setup for your skills should be like Smite and Ancestral Call support. From Tarkley, you also will be able to get like Blood and Sand, and that's going to be the aura that you're going to use at least at the start, because it's pretty comfortable. And as your movement skill, initially I would take Dash and replace that with Frostblink and Leap Slam later. From the moment when you will get Ancestral Call support, your clear is going to be very comfortable, because you're hitting a lot of enemies at the same time. So during the campaign, your biggest issue right now will be just the mana, and make sure that you're constantly upgrading your mana flask. And the next reward from Nessa is going to be faster attack support. You're going to use faster attack support together with your Smite to make sure that you're hitting fast during the campaign, and you can utilize it at bosses as well. If you have only 3 red sockets, you can also take like added fire damage and use it in the future, but generally I recommend faster attack supports because it will be much more comfortable while you're running during the campaign. And another important question right here is to mention how you can deal more damage during the whole campaign. So your Smite is a pretty cool skill. It requires sword, axe, mace, scepters or staff. So you can practically use any two-handed weapon that you will be able to find. So just look at the damage at the moment and use any two-handed weapon that you will be able to find. Constantly check the vendor and make sure that you're changing the weapon for a better one at the moment if you have enough currency. So for example, I dropped a Jade headshot right here. It has like higher physical and decent elemental too, and right now it provides me a little more damage than even two-handed weapon. That case, I'm just repicking it, so it will be more comfortable for me to deal damage to bosses and run through axe itself. Make sure you're constantly changing your weapon and not staying with one for too long, and most of the time it should be something two-handed like axe or a sword. And the last part is pretty much getting Lip Slam just from Tarkley, so you will be able to move around a little faster. Using Lip Slam perfectly with faster attack support will be your main way to move around. And you will also need to add a Frost Blink to it, so you can cancel your slam with a Frost Blink at the end of it. That way you will be able to move around faster, so I definitely recommend that. If you have Orb of Transmutation here, you can also get like Clarity, Vitality or even Precision to boost your initial situation with like regeneration. I honestly recommend only Clarity, the rest is completely up to you. And your early level 3 should be just like that, so physical here, you're taking mana flows for intelligence and mana regeneration. After that, I would probably take more mana, Art of the Gladiator, take both points here for Destroyer, go down here for Life and Mana Leech, and after to the left exactly as I'm showcasing in my Path of Building. So now, let's look at our Path of Building. Generally, as I already showcased, from level 1 to level 17, you can just play Smite. But if you want to be a little faster, you can also try to play Perforate or Spectral Throw. Both of those skills are pretty good at early levels, and if you know how to set up them, you can just do that instead. But I think Smite is pretty alright to just run the basic levels, so here's the setup with Smite. As the supports, you're going to use added fire damage and like faster attacks. Ancestral Call is also pretty nice up to level 18, and you should use this at least for the clear. And if you can hit bosses with like both smites at the same time, it's going to improve your damage against a single target too. Right here you'll also have like a Frost Blink, Lip Slam, Clarity and Blood and Sand. In your 3, you will need to start from attack physical damage because it's going to provide better damage at the start, and move to the right. So trying to reach Gladiator's Perseverance. That way, around level 18 you will have an Ancestral swap, because you will be able to reach a Mastery which will give you non-Val Strike skills target one additional nearby enemy. That way, you don't really need Ancestral Call anymore, and your perfect falling would be like added fire, faster attacks and elemental damage with attacks instead. Talking about the rest of the Path of Building, right here I have a set up loadouts, so you can just check them out and see what you need to do at every level. So there's like a set of them for every level, every part of the Ascendancy, and it's showcasing my recommendations for everything, from skills to items. Make sure that you are changing those loadouts like that, and every set like in items and skills and in the passive tree should change. So around level 34, we're going to start progressing to the right and reaching Precise Technique. I think it's a very important moment because Precise Technique will require 40% more attack damage if your accuracy rating is higher than maximum life. So you need to make sure that your accuracy rating is going to be higher than maximum life at all times. To check it out, you usually can check it like in game or in Path of Building as well. So for example, here's my accuracy right now, that's around 1400, and my life is 860. That way, Precise Technique is working and it's providing very good damage bonus around like 40% per one node. To make sure that Precise Technique is going to work for you, I recommend to take Weather Hunter together with Accuracy Mastery. And you can also take Precision and add Precision as one of your auras, for example, getting rid of Blood and Sand. I currently don't have Precision activated because, as you can see, I have enough Accuracy. But keep in mind that it could be different for you in game and you need to make sure that Precise Technique is working for you. Next important thing that I think is going to make our whole run much easier is Graceful Assault. It's going to provide a very decent amount of onslaught and also effect of onslaught on your character too. And another important part is reaching life and mana leech. Right here is going to make especially our mana management significantly more comfortable. So I definitely recommend it to take it as fast as possible. And during that setup, you're going to search for two-handed weapons. It could be two-handed axe, it could be two-handed sword, any kind of weapon with like physical or elemental DPS. Both of them will work. But if you will be able to get like some items with accuracy on them, it will be recommended too. So when you're checking loadouts, there's always my recommendations about the gear, even if those are just like basic ones when I'm telling you what exactly you need to look for. At level 34 you will also have like a first Ascendancy, and I think Bane of Legends right here is probably the best option because it's providing a very decent amount of damage against bosses. And after that you also will be able to get a Headsman. So at level 55 you're going to get a Headsman as your Ascendancy because 20% Calling Strike feeling absolutely amazing in the game. And you're also going to change a few little things about the gems in general. Here we're going to add Trinity to our setup, and it's pretty important as well. So for Trinity to work, you will need to do damage for at least like 2 elements and perfectly with all 3 to stack it faster. That way I'm using added cold damage, which providing cold damage to your smite, and your smite is already doing a lightning damage. That way it will be much easier to stack Trinity. If on your weapon you can get like fire damage, for example, it will be even better. But even if you cannot get fire damage on your weapon, there's like Anger aura in your setup, which is going to provide you with additional fire damage. That way you will do fire damage from Anger together with added cold damage, so cold from added cold, and lightning from Smite itself. That way you should have Trinity pretty consistently and almost all the time at the maximum. If you have like more links, you can also add like elemental damage with attacks, but it's not too necessary, and I will just keep Trinity in that case. If you want to calculate the damage with your Trinity, also make sure that you're adding like maximum resonance, since most of the time it should be maximum. If you want to add less, you can also add like any amount that you like, for example 25. And going forward, you're also going to spend more points just going down there, taking rage on hit, so you'll have like more consistent rage, and also taking the Wrecking Ball for your two-handed weapon. Make sure that weapon that you're using like always two-handed, and it doesn't matter what type again, it could be any. So the next setup is early maps, and in early maps there's another pretty big change. So right here you will need to change a few little things. First off, we're going to drop that part of the tree, like we're dropping Gladiator Perseverance, and instead we're going to take a Sure Strike. So attack mastery is pretty much moved there. And the next step, we're also dropping Precise Technique, because right now we want to do critical strikes. So that will lead you to a situation when you don't really need accuracy that much. I'm also dropping Graceful Assault because I don't really need Onslaught that much in the maps. However, if you enjoy to run it like faster, I would recommend to probably keep it. I'm talking about the situations with the crit. Since we're dropping Precise Technique, we're going to use one-handed sword. So I recommend to run one-handed rapier together with fire damage and lightning damage. If you can get like cold damage or any kind of elemental or physical DPS on that, it will be just perfect. But generally you should have at least like lightning damage plus any other type, so fire or cold. All three would be even better. We're also going to use shield. And for the shield, you just need to aim like for some accuracy together with as high chance to block as possible. It's going to help you to survive better when you're going to start mapping, and your damage from one-handed sword is going to be good enough. Right here we're taking a lot of basic and just like crit nodes right here. We're going for Fatal Blade, we're going to the left and taking Dismembering too, and on top of that we're also taking Blade of Cannon. To make sure that we have a Fortify, we're taking Fortify Mastery together with a Steadfast. That way our hits will fortify even if not too consistently, but most of the time, which is pretty important. We also still have like our Leech right here, and it should work just fine. Bleeding Mastery together with Cornered Prey should also help out with crit. From down there, we're also going to prepare and try to get as much damage from like combination with the shield too, so we're taking Defiance and Retaliation. And the next step, at the endgame maps, we're going to change our tree once again. At the endgame maps, I heavily recommend for the 6th link to rank Fortify support. So we're still keeping Trinity, we're using multi-strike, elemental damage with attacks, cold damage and Fortify. If you'll need to drop one gem because you just don't have enough space right here, you have only 5 link, you can just drop elemental damage with attacks and keep the rest. Since we are taking Fortify, we don't really need Steadfast that much anymore, we can completely stop going there and go to the right instead. So at that point, I think it's pretty important to cap your block. So to cap your block, we are taking Versatile Combatant and a lot of additional like nodes for it, including Tetsudo for recovery life when you block, and Deflection. Deflection is going to help you significantly to generate endurance charges, so try to get it as fast as possible, because it should be pretty comfortable, especially since your last Ascendancy is Masterful Form. It will give you maximum endurance charges is equal to maximum frenzy charges, and that way you will have much more endurance charges. To generate them while you're mapping, you're going to use Deflection, so you'll just get charges when you block. It's a pretty like band-aid solution, but it's good when you're playing a starter and on a budget. So to generate frenzies, we're going to use Blood Rage most of the time, but right here there's a way how we can generate frenzy on bosses. That way we're just taking like Sword Mastery for a chance to gain frenzy charge when you hit a unique enemy. And we're also taking right now all possible suppress, so we're taking suppress here for Invitorate, and most of the time that should be enough to cap your suppress. So Invitorate and items. But if it will not be enough to cap your suppress, you can drop Weapon Artistry here and just like take Quick Step or even End Range if you still need more. So I'm currently expecting that you will have like suppress on your body armor, suppress on your gloves, suppress on your boots, and even suppress on your helmet, which is normal for the endgame. But if you'll need additional percent for suppress, take Quick Step or go for End Range. You can drop Weapon Artistry in that case. And we're also changing the place where we are leeching. If before we've been going for like Life and Mana Leech right here, instead right now we are going for Clever Thief. Mostly because there's like a pretty nice cluster of nodes up there, and I think like even gaining a little mana, like 2 mana per enemy hit with attacks, also feeling great if you can properly leech. We're also taking Thrill of Battle right now to fix our issue with mana, because otherwise your mana consumption could be a little too high. If even after all those changes your mana consumption for some reason is still too high and you can't properly cast, you can also take like skill cost life instead of 15% mana cost. So talking about the gear and further progression, in the endgame maps variation I just had a very basic gear, without a lot of uniques because it's hard to predict which uniques will cost more at the league start. I currently have only one unique which I'm not 1000% sure about, it's pretty much Dawnbreaker. Dawnbreaker should be a pretty good option for you because it can give a lot of basic armor, it also have a pretty decent chance to block, and it can scorch enemies and clone the range when you block as well. However, if you will be unable to get it, you can just run a basic shield like in the previous version at level 75, so just like armor plus evasion and chance to block again. And moving forward, I think just going forward for that build, you will need to focus on getting Doryanis prototype for yourself, and Dawnbreaker will play a very good role because you will be able to combine Doryanis with Dawnbreaker. And you will need to slowly move most of your elemental damage just to fire, and to make sure that your lightning resistance goes to heavy negative. And it's probably going to make you capping suppress a little harder, and in that case you will need to pick some additional nodes for suppress such as quickstep as I already showcased, or even entrange. Since you're going to level up by 92, is going to be just fine. The rest of the build is going to be very similar, and you can follow just version which goes for transition in damage just from other elements to fire. At that point the build also should be pretty tanky, because you have like spell suppression, 65% of block chance both for attacks and for spell block. You also have some evasion together with armor, and on top of it you're also going to have a very decent amount of overleech from Brutal Fervor since you're playing the Slayer. And Masterful Form is going to provide some additional charges for you. So generally when you will reach like maps, it should be pretty comfortable for you to play, and you will be able to survive in a lot of situations, while Smite is going to provide the damage. Overall the build looks pretty decent on many levels, and I think Smite is going to be a very good option and will scale to a far endgame good as well. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you will have an amazing start of the league. ronarray out.